Guys, Dr. Morse, injury expert. So Bucky Irving suffered multiple injuries about 3 weeks ago. And he initially was commented on just a foot injury, maybe turf toe, probably a midfoot sprain. But then a couple days later, we heard that it was actually a shoulder injury that was the more concerning of the two. But we didn't have a whole lot of specifics. Excuse me. Eventually, what came out was he had what we call a subluxation or a dislocation of the shoulder. Now, the tricky part about this is that similar to Xavier Worthy, when a shoulder is dislocated, it pops out of the socket and pops back in. But the problem is the level of instability that increases when you start to reach out is even worse when there's an instability or a labral tear. So what you traditionally see is a player wearing either a sling like this or it by the side like that. Now, if you see this photo on his Instagram from 4 days ago, look what he's wearing on his left arm. He's using a brace. This is his post he uploaded. So that tells me that A, he's comfortable talking about it, and B, this is recent, presumably recent. So they're heading into the bye next week. He's already been ruled out for week 8. They have a bye in week 9. So the question then becomes, is he eligible to return? Is he healthy enough to return in week 10? Now, if the Bucs determined that this was a significant injury, if he had a labral repair, if he had a significant rotator cuff tear, if he had a Bankart fracture, we call it, he would have had to have surgery and he would have been done for the year. So the fact that they haven't said that, the fact that they haven't put him on IR, tells me that they're taking this week by week, and this is likely a moderate dislocation of the left shoulder, and he's probably going to try to return anywhere between week 10 and week 12, depending on how he's feeling. Now, the issue here is he's at high risk for re-injury because of the nature of his position and because of the nature of this type of injury. But with that being said, he will be effective when he's on the field. The question is when, and unfortunately, we don't know that. At the minimum, it's going to be after the bye, but if he's still not ready, it might be a week or two after that. Now, some people ask, well, why didn't they just put him on IR to begin with? Because IR is mandatory 4 games, not 4 weeks. So they're thinking maybe he can come back in week 10. I don't want to lose the luxury of putting him on IR and losing the bye week. So that's why they likely said, hey, let's hope he can come back in week 10, as opposed to immediately ruling him out in week 10, which would have been. So in general, that's my thoughts on Bucky. Rashad White's been doing a pretty good job holding down the fort, but just not good as Bucky. We'll keep an eye on it, but that's my initial thoughts.